My next guest is back in action pretty quick here, coming up here at UFC 255 on November 21st. She's going to be taking on Cynthia Calvillo. It is Katlyn Chookagian back here on the program. Katlyn, how's it going?
Very good. What's going on?
Nothing much. Just doing an interview with you. This is my last one of the day, saving the best for last. I really appreciate it. But this fight kind of came out of nowhere. When did you actually find out? Because it's pretty close to your last fight.
Yeah, I found out Saturday was a week, so it was exactly 3 weeks out. I was just at home Saturday, and they asked me if I wanted to fight. I've been asking for a fight in December because, I had no injuries, and I wanted to fight as soon as possible, and I didn't think it would be that soon, but they asked if I could fight Cynthia in 3 weeks, and I was like, yeah, definitely. I was like, do you think maybe we could do it on one of the cards in December? And they were like, no, it has to be this card. I was like, okay, whatever, I'll do it.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Were you surprised to fight Cynthia just because, she had the fight with Lauren Murphy that got canceled? I figured they might have rebooked that one, but when you heard her name, was it a bit of a surprise?
I think just because of what happened with her fight with Lauren Murphy and then Lauren winning her fight, I thought the same thing. I thought they would rebook that. So, a little surprised, but not too much. I mean, shoot, any girl like that are in the top of the divisions are kind of like on my radar. So, yeah, little surprised right now, but yeah, I'm excited.
Because the thing is, we don't really know what's happening with the winner of Shevchenko Maia, right? Because it could be Andrade or it could be Lauren Murphy. I mean, we'll see. I think Murphy kind of said on social media that it's not going to be her. So that's why I'm kind of like, I found this, I mean, this is a great fight, don't get me wrong, but I just think it's interesting because it kind of puts those two on the outside. Like, I don't really know sort of what the plan is. But anyways, that's a discussion for another day. The Andrade fight, I know it sucks talking about a loss, but what do you think went wrong in that one? It was kind of a weird finish too, because she kind of hit you with that body punch and then she ended up getting the finish.
Yeah, I mean, it was just before the shot that I actually went down, she had hit me in the liver, and then it takes like a 15-second delay, and then that's when I dropped. So, unfortunately, that's what happens, and there's nothing you can do, and it sucks because as soon as I thought I could like cover up until the round was over, and then I thought I could cover up until the round was over, and then, it just sucks because as soon as the ref stops it, you're fine, you're not injured, but that's just... that's the thing that sucks about body shots is you're fine like a little bit later, but yeah. Well, but the good thing is I had no injuries, so like I felt totally fine. So I was able to, have a quick turnaround.
Yeah, no, it certainly worked out in terms of getting this fight booked. Have you ever taken a liver shot before? Because I know it's kind of like a weird, like you don't see it that often in MMA. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like getting like a really hard shot like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I box a lot, so, I feel like I get it a lot in boxing, and not a lot, but I've definitely felt it before, so I know what it feels like, and it definitely sucks. I've been on the receiving and the giving end of both of them, and it's just, I think that's something that, like, a common fan doesn't really understand, and they're like, it's just once, there's nothing you can do. It doesn't matter how, like, tough you are. You have to, you need, like, 30, 40 seconds to recover from it, and then you're totally fine. But
in that moment, You're kind of like almost paralyzed in a way because it's just like Bas Rutten talks about this, the liver shot. He's like, you got to go for the liver because it's one of those things that, it kind of stuns the fighter, right? It's something you don't expect. It's not even, like you said, it's not like a bad injury. It's just like your body almost doesn't know how to react when it gets hit that hard, right?
Yeah, you just kind of freeze up, and like it doesn't even have to be, if you hit the right spot, it doesn't even have to be hard. Like even when it happened in my fight, like Andrade, I could tell she didn't even know what happened. And then like when I backed off and then I heard her corner yell, she looked at them, was like, oh shit, okay. And then went on it. Cause it's like you get hit and right away, but it's still like your body doesn't shut down for like another,
it's almost like I would imagine to some degree, I don't know. Thankfully I've never got kicked in the liver before, but is it almost like getting the wind knocked out of you in the sense that like your body's just kind of trying to figure out what to do?
Yeah. You just tense up and you can't you curl up in a ball, and there's just nothing you can do. It sucks, but in the long run, it's better than getting knocked out. So
yeah, no, for sure. And last thing kind of on that fight, I found it a little interesting that I know leading up to the fight, you did some media. I mean, we had an interview, but we never discussed this, but I think you mentioned something about having kids and then it kind of just blew up and everyone's like, oh, Katlyn wants to retire. Did you expect that backlash? Because I remember watching it and I'm like, I don't think she ever mentioned this to me. I don't think it's like a thing,
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like I see that stuff, like notice that a little bit just from like people, like random like trolls on the internet. Like if you say one thing, they're like, her head's not in it. It's
right.
Like,
yeah.
And that's why for a while I would never say anything, because I'm like, if I say that, people are going to think my head's not in it. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't really like, I'm at a point in my life, like, I don't care what people think. Like, you know, I'm just being honest because that's just how I am and that's how I feel. But yeah, you know what I mean? I'm 31. I'm not saying like, I can say I'm wrapping up my career, but that doesn't mean I don't have a set number. I don't
exactly.
have a set time. But obviously, as fighters, you need to look at your life after fighting. And I'm just saying what I want after fighting. So, yeah, like I wasn't surprised, but it was like annoying. And then like, you know, and then you know, unfortunately I lost. So then it's like, you see all the trolls are like, I knew she wasn't in it. She's just thinking about retiring. I'm like, I never said that. If I wanted to retire, I could definitely retire now. It's like, I don't need to fight. Yeah. I'm doing it because I want to. So, yeah, I mean, that's just how people are. It's good for like a headline.
No, for sure. And it's always funny too. It's always like, if someone really was like an expert in MMA, they're certainly not going on Twitter to like vocalize like, this is how things should go. Like, just I always have to remind people that they're definitely people who don't know much about fighting. So there you go.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Cynthia Calvillo. You know, obviously great flyweight debut, getting the win over Jessica I know I'm pretty sure I didn't have a chance to talk to her for this camp, but I think she's sort of been training in Vegas for this one, just with everything being shut down in California. All that said, how do you feel like you match up against her?
I think really good. I think it'll be an exciting fight. She's you know, I like watching her fight because she's always game no matter who she's going with. She has good boxing, great grappling, kind of good everywhere. And those type of fights are kind of nice. Like, I think that I'm really good everywhere. So both of us, like, you know, I don't really know where the fight will go. I don't know if we're just going to stand and box the whole time, if we're going to kickbox, if we're going to be in the cage, if we're going to be on the ground. I don't really know because both of us are very good at everything, so that makes the fight, you know, more interesting and kind of fun for me.
And also, I should mention, like we talked about this in our last interview, you actually thought you were going to fight Calvillo even before the Andrade fight, right? So you kind of knew, like, I'm sure you're pretty familiar with her. You said you watch her, so I'm sure that makes it a little bit easier training for an opponent that you're familiar with, as opposed to like a newcomer or someone that, you know, maybe you haven't seen as much on, right?
Yeah, that's the good thing about, like, you know, being in the top of the division is, you know, you're not really, you kind of, I mean, you never really know what they, you know, how your style will match up, but you kind of have an idea. You know, we've all seen each other fight for years. We've either fought each other, like all the girls in the top 10, we either fought each other or trained with someone that fought them or vice versa. But, yeah, so you're not really getting like an unknown. So, you know, but sometimes that's good too, because, you know, people think you're good at one thing and don't expect you to do other things. You know, you can't just watch film and think that that's what the fighter's going to be like.
Exactly. Every fighter's different when they're stepping in the cage for a particular fight, right? You're not necessarily going to get the same fighter each time. So that's a good point as well. Training camp, how have things gone? This sort of mini training camp leading into the fight.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I had basically like a 2-week camp for this, but, you know, the week after I don't really stop training that much. And like I said, I had no injuries in my last fight. So, and my teammate Sajara Eubanks is fighting the end of December. So I had been sparring with her and giving her rounds. So it wasn't like I didn't really take time off at all. Mm-hmm. I took like a couple of days for traveling, when I got back from Abu Dhabi. And then the next week I was training every day and, sparring with her. And then they called, but you know, it's always a little different, the intensity or like what you're focused on when you're just being a sparring partner and when you're like training for a fight. But yeah, I had really good training last week and then this week, and then I go to fight week next. So yeah, because it was so close from my last fight, you know, I just feel like I'm kind of in like, I don't feel like I had a short camp. I just feel like I had one long camp.
An extended, exactly, yeah, because the fight was so close together. No, you bring up a very good point there. Someone I know you've trained with in the past, Erin Blanchfield. Unfortunately, her title fight's off with Pearl Gonzalez because I guess Pearl got injured. I don't know if you still keep in touch with her, but Erin's, I know, one of those fighters we're going to see in the UFC pretty soon.
Yeah, I actually sparred her this morning. So,
oh, you did? I wasn't sure. Yeah, because you mentioned kind of a smaller camp, so I wasn't sure if you got to work with her. So
yeah, I sparred her last week and this week because she was supposed to fight the same weekend, November 21st. Right. So she was helping me. We were sparring together for my last camp, and then I was like, you know, when I get back from my fight, I'll give you rounds. And then I was like, actually, her fight got canceled, which I feel like is kind of BS because Pearl like posted a video like crying that she's sick, and then like 2 days later she's in the gym. She never like I don't think she like legit tested positive for COVID, and then she pulled from the fight with 3 weeks left, and now she's just training every day. So I feel like she could have took that fight, which kind of sucks for Erin, and I feel bad for her because she trained really hard and really long for that fight. And being an Invicta, they don't always just get a quick turnaround fight, you know?
Yeah, you never know when the next card's going to be, right? I would hope they reschedule that fight because I think it's a good fight for both fighters. For Pearl, it's like, hey, can you beat the up-and-comer? And for Erin, you know, you get a win over a UFC vet. That's usually sort of the catalyst of getting into the UFC, right?
Yeah. And she's definitely been a really good training partner. We've always done jiu-jitsu together at Henzo's, and then recently we've been getting a lot more consistent sparring, so she's really, really good.
And she, I mean, you know, not to make this the Erin Blanchfield show, but I interviewed her before that fight, and she was just talking about how much of an influence you've been on her. So it seems like iron sharpens iron in some way, you know, like obviously you're in the UFC, but I'm sure you guys can take a lot from each other in terms of training together.
Yeah, definitely.
Good stuff. I imagine the cut's going well, just because, again, you've sort of been in the gym all the time, right?
Yeah, I never really did like a super short notice fight. So, I mean, when I fought Antonina in June-ish, around that time, that was like 4 weeks notice. That was probably the closest I've done. I usually don't like to take short notice fights just because, you know, I cut a lot of weight. So usually I'm always in shape for a fight, but, you know, weight cuts are pretty hard. So with this one, I was like, can we do it in December? And they're like, no. And I'm like, fine. And then because after my fight, I never weigh myself. And then I weighed myself. I was like, oh, okay, I'm fine. I got this. And now I'm like lighter than I was for the last couple fights. So because I think I was 2 weeks, you know, I only had 2 weeks of eating. If it would have been like 4 weeks, I think my weight might have been up a little bit higher. But yeah, I'm super easy.
Who's going to be in your corner for this fight?
I'm going to have Sajara is going to be there with me. She cornered me with my last fight, and that was the first time she cornered me, and I really liked having her there. We train together and we spar together all the time, so, you know, we kind of know each other really well. So it was nice having a teammate there and having like a girl there for the week. And then my Mark Henry will be there, and my other striking coach, Ryan Cafaro. Awesome.
That's good. And how's this fight playing out on November 21st?
I'm just definitely going to dominate. I'm going to be... You know, I feel like for my last fight, I worked on so many new things, and I like developed my style so much, but unfortunately I didn't really get to show it. So it was really sucked too. Just obviously anytime losing sucks, but when I felt like the last couple months I just gotten so much better and grown so much as a martial artist, and I didn't get to show any of that. So that's why I'm like, all right, I need another fight as soon as possible because I got so much better. I didn't get to show it. So I'm definitely going to show a lot of new things that I've been working on the past few months in this fight.
I imagine because you took a short notice fight here, you probably want to enjoy the holidays after this and then reassess for next year. Is that the plan, or would you stay on short notice and ditch the holidays?
Yeah, I mean, the holidays isn't a big deal for me. Like, not that it's not a big deal, but if there's a fight opportunity, I'm not like, oh, wait, I want to enjoy the holidays. I mean, realistically, if I fight this fight and if I could fight in December, that would be nice, because I heard that they're going back to Fight Island in January. I don't know if that's like 100% true, but I heard they're going back there. And while it was a great experience and I'm glad I did it, I'd prefer to not fight there again if I don't have to. So if I could get another fight in before and then instead of having to wait, that would be awesome. So yeah, the holidays aren't really like, I'm used to that by now. I'll have my whole life to enjoy the holidays after fighting.
Exactly. On your boat, I would imagine, too. That would be nice. Katlyn, always appreciate the time. Great catching up here. It's UFC 255 going down November 21st. Anyone you want to thank? Any sponsors? Any social media? The floor is yours.
Yeah, just like my teammates and my coaches for, me calling them, be like, hey, can you guys go to Vegas in 2 weeks? And like, especially like my coaches, Brian Cafaro and teammates Sajara, like they went to Abu Dhabi for her fight, came back the next week, went to Abu Dhabi with me, and now they're going for this fight. So, everyone, it's easy for the fighter to be down, but everyone, it's not just me that's involved with that. It's everyone else. So, yeah.